Hello YouTube, RJ. Hey, in this fifth installment and the final installment of the jukebox restoration, we're going to pick right back up in the rec room. Part 4 ended with us, brought the Tormac selector unit down here, looked through and found a couple issues, fixed them. We're hoping that solves the problems for us. I've taken it back down to the rec room to do testing, and we're picking up right there, so let's jump into it. Okay, we're back at the rec room, and we've got it all hooked up. We went ahead and, being optimistic, we've hooked the amplifier up. And so I've just plugged it in, it's warming up. We're fixing to give this thing a try and see what happens. So, Dad, if you want to drop a quarter in, and okay, we got our selection light. Make a selection. Let's see what happens this thing. No idea. Have no idea how loud it'll be if it. Look at that, picked up a record. It's playing. Volume's awful quiet. It's like the volume is like non-existent. It's playing, and we've got a little bit of audio coming out, but well, we're gonna have to look into the audio, but we've got music. I don't know if you can hear, but so next problem is going to be volume. So it could be just the volume needs to be turned up on the unit. So we'll let you know where we end up on the next one. I'll bring you back. All right. I think we figured it out. We've got something going on with the mute circuit from the Tormac selector unit. It's not unmuting the amplifier when it's playing. So that's something we got to work on, but we're going to give her another try and see if we get audio out of the amp this time. We thought we were hearing light music, but it turned out it was just coming right off the head of the record, so off the needle. So here we go. We're going to give her another shot. So let's see what happens. All right. Dad's going to make a selection. There's our record. There we go, we got audio. Okay, we're back, and we've been working on a number of issues. One was a mute issue, where it was leaving the amp in mute all the time. We were having to pull the mute cable out to get audio, if you remember. And we have traced this down through this complicated nightmare of switches and such. To these switches, right, these two switches right here, this rubber bumper. Get down here where you can see might be helpful. These two switches are not opening when they need to. They're opening when the lever moves a lot, but there's a point where it moves just a little bit. It's supposed to open them when it's playing, and they're not. They're not quite opening. So looking, I don't see an adjustment for the lever, but I do see these relay switches look like they've been bent a little and tweaked and stuff. So I'm going to tweak them back, and I think that's going to fix it. Just a piece of thin cardboard stuck in here makes it work perfectly fine. Works great. It mutes until the music starts, and then it opens the amplifier up and works great. So that's how we're going to handle that. We're going to deal with it by tweaking these to get us just enough room to do that. So that'll solve that problem. We had some other issues going on. When we played records, it would play part of the way through the record. About 2/3 of the record, it would start skipping every record. And what it was arm adjustments. There's a whole myriad of arm adjustments that have to take place in here. And with them wrong, what was happening is the arm was going in so far, and it didn't want to go any farther. It was thinking it's as far as it's supposed to go, so it would just skip on the record over and over again. So after the adjustments and getting it to where it's supposed to go to where it's supposed to, all the way in, to the point that it's almost hitting the paper on the record, as a physical limit, so it never can, and then adjusting the stop switch, I forget what they call it, I'm done with the record switch, if you will, adjusting it proper so that once it's ended the record and it's starting those fast tracks towards the middle, when you want to get about halfway through that section, it clicks, it kicks the record out, works flawlessly. everything's working there. Get this fixed. We're pretty much, I think, there. We just got to start assembling stuff back together. I'm trying to think if there's any issue. I think everything's working at this point other than that. Other than getting this taken care of, which I think I'm going to have done here in just a minute. And then we've got to get, we got to start probably tomorrow putting this thing back in the cabinet, getting everything assembled, and putting all the records back in. We had all the records are out at the moment. And so we've got a good 3 or 4 hours of work at least. And hopefully we'll be to that point. So I'll come back and let you know how we made out on this. And then I'll come back, hopefully maybe. We'll have to see. Maybe tomorrow we can do some work. Might not be tomorrow. Might be a couple days. But we'll be back with you. And hopefully we're going to get this whole thing done and back in the cabinet. So hang in there. All right. We think we've got it. I tweaked those relay switches or those switches a little bit. And I think I've got it. Dad's going to drop the quarter. And he's going to play a record. We got one record in. E9. And let's see if we're plugged into the amp, so if we get audio out of it, we know the mute's working correctly. You have to do it again. It's already selected. It didn't empty your selection because of that. You can do it again. All right, come on, baby. I'm scanning. I hear audio. All right. Now I got to stop this or I'll get copyright struck. So, all right, we're ready to start putting it back in the cabinet. We'll pick up there. We're making progress. We're getting it back together, as you can see. Wiring nightmare in here. I'm getting everything back in. We've got the mechanism back in and wired. At this point, we're ready to start putting all the records back in order. That'll probably take an hour. And we got the glass doll put back on. And then at that point, we're ready to plug it in and see if it works. I sure hope so. We had it working on the bench really well. So hopefully it's going to work great once we get it together. I'll come back as soon as we're at that point, and we'll see how we made out. All right, it is all back together. We are fixing to flip the power switch and see if it comes on, and then we get to see if it works. Here we go. Look at that. All right, so now the question is, does it work? Drop a quarter in, Dad. Make a selection. Let's see what happens. Come on, baby, work. Perfect. Guys, we got her working. My mama's going to be so happy. Open up the glass. We forgot to flip the little window down over the counters. Now it's finished. We got her working. Thanks for sticking in with the videos. See you next video.